Serving.
Okay, this is a notice hereby giving that a meeting of the planning and zoning commission of the town of Greenville, Texas will be held Wednesday, the 17th, at City Hall located 122 Fernandez Street, Greenville, Texas, at which time the following items will be discussed. Will the city secretary call the roll, please? Or I'll call it the order. Remember.
Call to order on that. 6:03. Ms. Houston,
And the roll call, please.
Ms. Houston, he is traveling. Ms. West, here. Mr. Knoll.
Here.
Evans, here. Mr. Bolt.
Here.
Anderson. And Ms. Jess. Yes.
Okay, at this time, we have an open forum. At this time, the audience allows 3 minutes per person to address the board on any topic. There is no discussion or formal action taken during this agenda item. A speaker request form must be present with the city secretary prior to the meeting.
There are none.
Do we have anyone?
No, sir.
Okay. The minutes. Approval of the minutes from the June 1st, 2023 planning and zoning commission meeting. Anybody have any problems with those minutes?
So I put the minutes in, and then after realizing this was the meeting that, we didn't have a forum for, so this meeting didn't ever happen, so there's nothing for you guys to review or. Okay.
Okay. Motion to pass the minutes.
Well, we just need to, like,
No
move
action
on,
on
because there's no action on it.
Okay. All right, new business. Consider a potential action on the following items. Stripes conditional use permit. Public hearing, consideration, and possible action on Stripes application for conditional use permit.
So,
Everybody has the material in the front.
yep, so we're just here today to consider the application for stripes to do exactly what it said, is to, for a wine-based margarita, the machine. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to help answer.
I have to great ignorance on Texas liquor laws.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that they already have a liquor license that allows them to do this.
Yes, they've got a liquor license for the sale of all the things that they intend to sell under this conditional use permit. What's different here is that we have an ordinance that states that there's one level at which a place like Stripes can sell alcohol in the zone in which they're located, which is CBD2, without needing to seek a conditional use permit, and that is only if they're selling for off-premise consumption only. What they're asking for now is to sell for on-premise consumption. They're going to sell these wine-based margaritas that someone can go in, buy, and have a drink, sitting down while the tables there, water is more heavy on top of it. So it's the standard of companies that the applicant. And so that requires a conditional use permit in a CBD2 zone. And so the first step is to come before the P&Z, ask for approval. If it gets approved here, then it goes to the town council, who then issues the conditional use permit.
And can you explain to me what the conditional use permit does? What's its condition on?
Yeah,
What are the conditions that would award it?
it's just the term that applies to any use that isn't permitted as a matter of right. The terminology or the opposing terminology there is use as a matter of right and conditional use. And so the real only condition is that it come before the body, get considered and approved before the applicant can engage in use. Whereas all the things that are permitted as a matter of right don't require any additional authorization by the P&Z or by the town council, just let it be in a particular zone. So,
And is this in perpetuity? Are there perpetuity laws in Texas?
well, it can be, generally, they're not limited in time unless the statute, unless the ordinance provides for some sort of periodic review. I believe, like, for example, our ordinance has some mention of like sexually oriented business that is subject to some kind of periodic review. This isn't one of them, although it wouldn't be outside the realm of P&Z's authority or the authority to impose a time limitation on it. It's just that this particular request here, the sale of on-premise consumption of alcohol in a CBD2 is not one of the ones that our ordinance says can only be for a certain period of time. So if it's proved, at our level and approved at the town council level, it will be for as long as that use continues or the owner remains the same. If the strikes for itself to another agency who also wants to continue that, they probably have to go through the CUP process again, because this is going to be issued to strikes / the rate of top of the company and no one else.
So it becomes another bar, basically, but the only thing they serve are the plain margaritas and the strawberry margaritas.
Well, and whatever other alcohol they already do.
Oh, for consumption on premises?
It's the on-premise nature of the sale that triggers the conditional use.
So somebody could buy a bottle of beer and open it up and drink it with their top.
Again, the tables there.
Already, or that would be
Yep.
part of this?
That would be part of it. So anything that they currently sell would be, is required, well, currently, right now, but whatever they sell there is required to be taken away from premises.
Currently, so they
Go it off
want.
premises. Now, that they wouldn't be able to do that with something like a margarita dispensed from the machine because it's not sealed. Right, so that they couldn't, under the current zoning, the current non-conditional use operation, sell the type of margaritas that they're contemplating here, because it's gonna go into an open cup. It would be a violation of state law for that to be taken.
Unless they put it in one of those containers that can't be opened without it.
Right, if it
No
would
one
be
is,
something, I think there is some
There are,
machine or something that could seal up a.
not that I've had a lot of experience. but I-
But if you go to the boba tea, we've seen it, we have some of those places where the like smoothies, so that there's a machine that can seal,
Okay,
or something like
I've
that.
never heard of
Yeah, it's a big straw and a bunch of stuff.
so that if they were stopped by the police would see if this were open.
Right.
And
So that's not a town regulation, that's a state regulation.
Oh,
Right. So with this, if it's approved, they'll be able to then this bring straight into a cup that can be enjoyed on premises, not taken outside, because that would be a violation of state law. But also any other drink that they.
And then I have one other,
It'd be like, I'm sorry, it'd be like a restaurant that serves alcohol.
right,
But they do have to consume it on site,
On premises,
supposedly.
and this is nitpicking, but I think there's a typo in their, application.
There,
Okay, the 12 AM.
yeah, they're gonna sell it. Yeah,
What?
the application says 12 PM and it should say 12 PM.
Oh, maybe.
After no alcohol after 12.
Yeah, okay.
And it should say 12 PM.
I think you've answered all my questions. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. In the letter, to whom it may concern, if you look at that last sentence on the first paragraph. It says, but we have found that most of our consumers purchase this with the intention of consumption of home.
Yeah, exactly. So,
That bothers me, because you're saying that they're not supposed to take it home. I mean, can they purchase it there and then take it out the door? That's weird.
yeah, well, that sounds.
That sounds fishy.
I'm not, when I read that, I wasn't clear that they were talking about the specific margarita product, but rather their alcohol sales in general. Okay, read it again. Currently expanding, radio taco margarita concept. During its expansion. it's
On-premise permit.
Within the Texas ABC, we have TABC requirements, we apply for on-premise PG permit. We will legally be allowed to serve for on-premise consumption. That's what is required. That's what is why it's required to go through us. But we have found that most of our consumers purchase this
Yeah.
with the intention of consumption at home.
And
Well,
this isn't this defined.
Well, that's the guy behind the register is not gonna stop when you walk out the door.
Or that they've got some mechanism by which they can seal up the drink.
Okay.
and for the purposes of state law, because we don't regulate that. That's
No,
part of
no,
that state. So but maybe they've got one of those machines where they ask you for here to go, and if it's to go, then they've got to seal it up on the city. And so I guess their market data shows that that's the preferred drink of my days. There were some changes made during the pandemic regarding alcohol sales at the walk-up or drive-through that may also impact the ability of someone to take something home, that isn't sort of machine sealed or factory sealed, maybe that the law on that now, again, from the state, not from us, requires only that there be some covering on it, like a software court. But they're obligated to comply with state law as part of their normal operations regardless. So if that's what they're doing as a result of the relaxation of the carried away laws that were made permanent by the governor even after the pandemic was over. The governor's order initially, and that's going to be the state of the law from now on. So it takes us until the legislature changes again, where you could basically person item is that the only part that we're sort of dealing with here is the fact that they're allowing it to be consumed on sites. That's not required.
So we're basically just talking about like a variance on what they already have.
Right, but they already do. They already sell alcohol, they're already permitted to do that. They're not permitted to sell hard liquor, because that's another category that they've got here at TABC, and they haven't done. Their current category allows them to sell beer and wine. And so I think that's why they're keen to point out that this margarita is a wine-based margarita. And tequila, they would be able to sell that.
My only concern with this is, I'll tell you right now, and I wanted to drink that. I was underage. I grab a coffee cup and go fill one up, put a cap on. Right.
And that's another area that's governed by state law, self-dispense,
Yeah.
where I believe, and I'm not clear on this, but I believe that state law has some restrictions on, how accessible it is to customers walking out. I believe there are also restrictions on what employees are allowed to actually dispense the product. There are some restrictions that should apply there. And so my guess is that it's not going to be something that you can walk up and
Like a Slurpee.
like a Slurpee, and still be able to apply to state law.
Yeah.
They'll get the
So
TVC.
when I was traveling, I saw one that's already been approved that they're doing, and it's behind the bar with the taco. So
Oh,
it'll be
okay.
served back there, like it's in that line of the taco bar, and then they have the machine, and then they'll serve it. So you'd have to go up and order it. It's not,
Oh, right.
by the
Okay, so
Slurpee
they're
machine.
behind the counter.
Yeah,
That-
that's at least the ones I saw that's already in progress. That's what that is.
I'm almost positive that
Yeah.
state law would require. they have to do it.
But we can still put that in on, if we decide to say yes, we can put that in on.
Well, I would cover things like that. I would recommend that the condition we voted that they comply with all state laws.
Without naming specific areas.
Right, that way we're not limiting ourselves to those areas.
We don't think.
And then getting them off the hook for some other areas that we don't think of.
Right.
I'd like to ask this officer, has the chief expressed any opinion about this?
We don't see any issues with it. As Mr. Levina said, it's, the employees are gonna go through training to help identify and read IDs. We don't currently see any issue with that at this time.
All right, thank you, sir.
Can I go a step further and ask that the chief monitor them for next year and tell us if there's any accidents or so on that involve somebody who came out of there after drinking 2 or 3 of these things and had an accident on the way out?
I'm pretty sure the city manager will get with the chief on that and we can compile those statistics for you.
Yeah. It'd be nice to revisit this in a year and see if had any potential damage.
Of course.
Do we have any further discussion? Ready for a motion?
So I'm going to approve the conditional use permit for Stripes, use, at their.
Can I amend that? Can we give them a time to revisit this in a year? And see if we have any statistics from the that might make us reconsider.
You mean to make it only be in place for a year? Yeah, and then expire without further renewal?
No. Conditional use for a year and have them come back if we have accidents, we have problems with it, based on police reports. but then we could come back and revisit. We get amended that way. Number one, that covered actually, and your comment about any change of ownership would change the conditional use of that three lot.
Well, that exists in.
That exists in our- okay.
That's it.
And as you said, meet or exceed state law in the dispensing and the sales. And emphasize that we'd like to have it as a behind the counter dispenser, not by the employees, not by customers.
Well, that goes back to the compliance with state law. The requirements.
Good.
So basically, my understanding of it is that the PNC is going to review it in a year. If it gets some kind of report from the administration or police department, there have been alcohol-related problems there.
Okay.
And that, the applicant must comply with also.
Yes.
So we have a motion, it's amended, now we're just waiting.
Also, amended as discussed.
I have one, I guess, a question about this. Is there a process in place where we would know if there was an incident that fell within this category? I mean, is there that kind of a report that comes to from the police?
I have a monthly,
A water report,
So on a monthly newsletter, I do report and they give their statistics of like, the stops or things like that. So if you go to the police department, letter, it has what they've done that month and if there's anything of, if there's anything that's worth highlighting the chief does, or, you would be able to see on there. I think we break it down, if there's DUIs or if there's, all the kinds of stops. So you guys would be able to, review that on the newsletter. And, obviously, if you ever want to come to the meeting or ask me, I can ask for it and they can tell me if there's something that happens and I'll.
I just didn't whether you want to add more work.
No, they submit a monthly report to me for the newsletter, so it's kind of like the blotter. I mean, my hometown used to do it in the paper, but like the blotter. That they do.
But in the report, they might mention, oh, if liquor was involved, but they don't mention, oh, it was Stripes margarita machine.
But it would be an incident at Stripes, most likely, so, it would be no different though, if it's on the side of the road, who's to say they didn't come from Boomers or who's to say they didn't come from Stripes, so.
Right.
I mean, it'll be a little hard to navigate through, but I mean, first of all,
Unless you took a couple with them.
there you go, and then we'll know, and then we'll tell you guys, then we'll tell you guys.
I'm also the prosecutor, say, all the time that I'm prosecuting, I've had one contestant of the prosecution. It did occur near the Stripes, but it's determined that the person became prosecuted somewhere else. Well, made his way to the Stripes, didn't quite get the Stripes. They should have come with the prosecution ticket there.
But yeah, if it becomes a problem, I'll be sure to, notify Strixuna and you can follow up, and address it.
Who made the motion?
Does it go down as Ms. West, or does it go down with, Mr. Knowles as amended?
You can write that as
Yeah.
amended.
Amended by Mr. Knowles, second by Mr.
Seconded it with the.
That's okay, we got it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Second. Report.
You guys always sound so excited.
Dinner time.
I think. Anybody? Do you want to call a vote, or you want to do it?
Oh, yeah. All in favor? All opposed, same sign. Okay, meeting adjourned. Now we'll get to minutes.
There we go, now you have some.
Oh, boy.
Thank you guys so much for coming.
Oh,
We appreciate you guys very much.
take y'all stand later.
Randy,
Yeah, why don't-
he's not letting me.
Normally we
That's
do.
not about it.
We never have. No, for the people. I don't think I didn't even, I do so many meetings and I do the pledge all the time, so I'm like, no, we'll, you always push on the other. But